Hi everyone. Today we will see in this session we will see about how to utilize tFileList and what is the purpose. Basically, tFileList purpose is whenever you have a set of files, like example, you have 10 to 20 files or subdirectories in a particular folder, and if you want to iterate, if you want to run as a loop, like file after the other file, if you want to run and if you want to retrieve the data available in those file and if you want to load that into a target table, then we can make use of tFileList. Here, there are two options. Multiple options are available. One of the option is we need not to provide any file, etc. If you want, you can provide a file mask pattern, or else you can provide the file name as well. Example, if you know the exact file name, we can provide. If the number of files are around 20, 30, then it will be very difficult for us to provide the file name. So in that cases, whatever the files available in that particular folder, if you want to process all those files, then tFileList is the best option. And here we have an option to provide file mask as well. For example, in a folder, you have around 20 files, but if you want to load only the 10 files which are starting with customer underscore, then we can provide the pattern like whatever the files available like customer underscore, those files only I want to process. So that is called file mask pattern. And in the follow example, I have provided a screenshot where I'm picking the files and I'm importing to tFile input delimited. Whatever the files I have considered is CSV files, so that I consider tFile input delimited and I combined them using tunit component. Then I loaded into the employee table. If I don't use tunit component, then what happens? Each file it will process separately. And if your target table is a truncate, then that means after processing the file one, while processing the second file, it will truncate the table. So that means file by file, this entire set of the components it will run. Instead, before loading the file, I want to combine them. Then all the data together, I want to load into the target table. In that cases, tunit component can be utilized. But if you don't utilize tunit component, then what happens? Out of 10 files, only the last file data will be available if your employee table is truncate option is enabled. If the truncate is option is not enabled, then it will process. Let's see step by step how to achieve this. I'm creating a job and my files are available in this folder. If you see employee 10, 20, 30, 3 files I considered all CSV files. So let us see step by step how to load the files which are available in a particular folder. Right click here, create Talend job underscore. I'm providing employee data load. And what is the purpose of load employee files into Snowflake? I want to load the data into a Snowflake, load employee files into Snowflake. That is my purpose. And here I have, okay, I'm taking, I'm writing it as flat files. Okay, click on finish. So I'm considering tFileList. tFileList is a component where you can provide the file path. Let me provide the folder. This is my folder. Okay, all the files are available in this folder. So if there are directors and files, if you want to process both, then select both. Or else if you want to process only the files, you can select. But right now in my folder, I don't have any subdirectories. So if you select these directories, then what happens? It will try to process only the subdirectories. But here I don't have any subdirectories. So instead, if you want, you can provide as both, or you can provide files based on the how your files are arranged based on that. And I'm constraining tFile input delimited. Okay, so whatever the files I have, I'm inputting to the input delimited. Okay, so let me right click here, row, iterate, and Okay, each file by file, I'm iterating to the next component. And here I need to provide the file, basically the path. But manually, when you don't have tFileList, then automatically we will browse and we used to get the file path like this, we used to say. But here I need to get the file path from file list. Why? Because automatically if the files are 20, all the 20 files file by file, it has to take input from file list. So instead, press control space, then automatically you will get the list of the options. So I need to get the current file path from previous component, which is tFileList. So the previous component name is tFileList. Okay. So these are the list of the components available, options available based on TF. You can, I can let you know one more time how to do that. Just select here, control space, select T, and my previous component, I need to get the current file path from tFileList. So select TF, and here you can see file path, current file path. So automatically I will get the file path from the tFileList, okay, based on iterate option. And here I have a header, and my columns are separated by comma. So I have provided the settings, and I did not provide the schema yet. And I need to, if you want to add the schema, let us add a few columns. Example, I'm adding employee number, okay, and I'm adding employee number, okay, and which is an integer, and I'm taking employee name, which is a string. Okay, two columns I added right now manually, and let us see whether it is working or not. Right click here, main, and link to the tlog row and cross check whether it is working or not. And in the tlog row, I want to display it as a table, print the values as a table, run this, run now. So how many files are available? Those many tables, it will be displayed in tlog row. So right now I have 3 files. That means I need to get 3 different tables. For each and every file, it will get as a separate table. Let's see now. Okay, there is an error, configuration error. Let's cross check. Let's cross check here. Okay, field separated, I got some string which is unnecessary. I have removed now. Let's see now. If you see, there are each and everything is displayed as a separate table. Tlog row, you can see. And right now it is displayed only 2 columns, which is employee number, ename, because I have provided in tFile input limited in the edit schema. I have considered only 2 columns. So how many columns you have in this file? Those many columns you need to add one by one manually. Okay. So I have employee number, ename, job, MGR, hide date, salary, commission, these many columns I have. But here in my Talend job, I did not add all the columns. Okay. So in the place of this tLog row, I'm taking tmap. Okay. Why? Because I want to load into the employee table. So instead of adding all the columns manually, I can get the schema list directly from the target table itself. So this is my target table. I want to load the data into Snowflake, and I already created a connection. I imported the table, just pull the table, and here I'm selecting TDB output. Okay. And let me add to tmap. Then let me add to new output. And okay. And whatever the schema available in this one. So here you can select the target table. I want to truncate the target table and I want to insert. And here I have the schema. You can copy the schema basically. My target table schema I want to copy. Here you can say copy. and go to here tFile input delimited, edit the schema and remove these two selected one, and you can paste this. So automatically you will get the list of the columns. Okay, and see employee number. If you want, you can see the cross check. Employee number, I got e-name, job, MGR, high date, salary, commission. So this way, instead of adding the schema manually, if the structure of your file and target table is same, you can copy and paste the schema, but make sure the format of the date is same. In the file, the date value format is dd-mon-yy, but here the format is different. Okay, so when you're taking tFile input delimited, always you need to make sure that the date related columns, the format whatever provided here has to match with the values available in the file. If it is not matching, it throws error. Right now you see the format is not matching. Here it is YYYY, but here if you see day started first. So that means instead of YYYY, the format has to start with the day, DD. But let's see, it has to throw error. Let's see. See here, it will throw error. One file is executed, second file is executed. Number of rows picked is 0 because all three files, it has an error related to high date. It has an error related to high date. High date in row 1 value is 09 June 1981, but the format is not supporting. So let's see. Let's change the format. Let's change the format. My format of the value is it's starting with the DD, and month is in 3-digit abbreviation, and year, hours, seconds. Always month in capital, D in lowercase, then year in YYYY, hours, minutes, seconds. Now this format has to accept now. Let's see. I did not provide TUnit component yet. So what happens, you see, I have 3 files. In this folder, I have 3 files. Okay. Here, each file by file, it is processing separately. Okay. Give me 1 second. Something I did not provide properly. Did not provide. Let me cross check the file path one more time. Yeah, here it has taken DDMM, but mine is 3-digit. Let me provide again MMMM. Okay. Now I did not provide TUnit component. So instead of combining the data present in all files, each file is processed separately. So it will process file 1 and it will load into the target table. And in my target table, I have enabled truncate option, if you see. So 3 rows are loaded. File 1 is processed. Now file 2, 5 rows are loaded. Again, it will process file 3. Yes. So total, there are 3 rows in file 1, 5 rows in file 2, 6 rows in file 3. But in the target table, how many rows it will be there? 6 rows. Column mapping is not done. That was the reason you are seeing empty. Column mapping is not done. Let me do the column mapping. As the column mapping is not done, it inserted the rows. 6 rows it inserted, but it did not inserted the data. Okay. So as I told you, there are almost 6 rows in the third file, 5 rows in the second file, 3 rows in the first file. First and second file data, whatever it loaded, by loading the third file, as the truncate option is enabled, everything is truncated. That means the file1, file2 data is lost. But right now you're not seeing the data because auto map is, I did not do column mapping. Now I did. Let me run this. Let me run this. Instead of seeing entire data, 14 records, you will see only 6 records because only last file data only it will show. Remaining 2 files which processed prior are truncated because every time it truncates the target table while processing the file. That was the reason instead of inserting one by one, always you need to combine the data before inserting it. Let's see now. So second file is processed. 2 execution is completed. Now 3 execution is completed. 6 rows are inserted in the third execution. You have the data only of third execution. First execution, second execution are lost because truncate option is enabled. That was the reason always before loading into the target table, always you need to utilize tunite component. The purpose of tunite component is it combines the files. For example, link tunite component here and like this. Okay. So now you need to remove this. Why? Because now the source is changed. Now the source component is row 2. Source component name is tunite is got row 2. If you see the link got row 2. So now you can map the column by column manually, or you can click on auto map. Anything is fine. It's up to you. But if you want to know how does tmap works, there is a separate video. You can look into it. And how does tunite works? There is a separate video. You can watch that video. Basically, the purpose of tunite is combine the data whatever coming from the source. So here I'm combining the data whatever available from this tFileList. Whatever the files data available in this tFileList, each and every file I'm combining before loading into the target table. See here, 3 records here, 14 now. In earlier it was showing only first file is executed, second file is executed, third file is executed. In the third file, it has only 6 records. So here it was showing only 6 records. But right now you see 14 records. Why? Because before inserting file by file, it will combine the data, whatever available in these 3 files, then it will load. So I have here 3 files. Each and every file I have, third file I have how many records? You can cross check. Third file I have 6 records. And second file I have 5 records. And first file I have 3 records. So total 14 records. So now in the target table, instead of seeing 6 records, now you will see 14 records. So whenever you are processing multiple files and using a tFileList, always make sure that before the target table you are spacing, you are providing tunite. But if you are not truncating the target table, then it is fine. You are not truncating the target table. If you did not enable truncate option in the target table, then this tunite is not required. Each file, every day you are just appending, you are not truncating, you are just keep on inserting the data. So in that cases, this tUnit is not required. You can directly link tFile input delimited to tmap if you are not truncating the target table. If you are not truncating the target table, then directly tFile input delimited, you can link tmap. So it will run as a loop. How many files are available in this tFileList? Those many times these components will be executed. But right now, as I'm truncating, I'm using tUnit. So how many files are there? Each file output, it will be combined in tUnit component. Then it will be loaded into employee table. tUnit acts as union all. If you have any duplicate records, if the same record is available in multiple files, it will still insert those duplicates. If you want to get rid of duplicates, you need to space tUnit row component. How does tUnit row component works? You can see a separate video. There is a separate video uploaded. But if there are duplicates available in this file, and if you want to get rid of duplicates, just place tUnit row component. And you can link tUnit component to tUnit row component. Let me place that. Give me a second. Unix only I want to load. I want to load only the unique data. Yeah. So with this, what happens? You need to provide the key column here. I'm providing employee number as key column. So before loading, what happens? It will try to get rid of duplicates. Then it will load into the target table. How does tUnique Pro component works? There is a detailed video I have made. You can watch that. Basically, tUnique Pro purpose is to identify duplicates or unique records. If you want to load duplicates, you can load duplicates. If you want to remove duplicates and load only unique, you can load that. And the duplicate and unique data, basically it is differentiated. Duplicates data can be identified by making use of key column. So always you have to select the tUnique Pro component, then provide the key column, primary key column. Basically, you have to enable the checkbox. Right now, employee number is primary key column. I don't have duplicates. That was the reason 14 records are loaded. But if I have duplicates, example in the file 10, I have 4 records, which is a duplicated one. Now you see. So from the source, I will get 15 records. One record will be removed because it is a duplicate, and 14 records will be loaded into the target table. The file list purpose is basically whenever you have multiple files, and if you don't want to provide each file name manually, whatever the files available in that folder I want to pick in that particular situation, it will be utilized. And here you can provide the pattern also. For example, in this folder, copy, I have a file, okay, and which is available with a different name, okay. So now I have it cust_employee. So this is having a different name. I want to process only the files which are starting with employee. I don't want to process the customer right now. But if I did not provide any pattern right now, I did not provide any file mask pattern in the file list, it will process all the 4 files. All the 4 files it will process if you see now. So my folder right now having 4 files. One of the file is starting with cust_, which I don't want to process, but I did not provide any mask pattern yet. So it will process all the 4 files available in that folder. Let's see that file 1, 2, see 4 files got executed. Out of 21, there are duplicates are available, but loaded only 14. So right now I want to only consider emp_10. So anything with emp10 and anything with emp20. These are the 2 file patterns I want to consider. I want to consider anything starting with emp_10, any files having emp20. So in this pattern, if I have any files that may be 10, 20, anything, it will consider route. But right now in this pattern, I have only 2 files, one file with emp_10, one file with emp_20. So it will process only 2 files. Out of 4 files, I provided 2 mask pattern, one with 10, one with 20, but I have only 1 file per each. So it will process only those 2. You have to provide here file. That's all. Remaining 2 files got skipped because it did not match with the pattern whatever I provided here. So always this. I want to process all the files which are starting with EMP. But there is one file which is starting with customer. I'm providing right now only 1 mask pattern, okay, which are starting with EMP. So always make sure that this star is provided. Otherwise, it will search for exact file like EMP. But I wanted anything starting with EMP, then provide star at the end, okay. Then it will try to get all the files which are starting with EMP. So out of 4, there are only 3 files which are starting with EMP. So right now it will process 3 files. So there are three files. Because of the file mask pattern I provided, that pattern is matching only three files. It considered three files for the execution. And if you have directories, then select this. Right now in my folder, I don't have any directors, any subdirectories. So it will not process anything because that folder doesn't have any subdirectories. If you see now. It will not process any file. Zero you will get. Zero files. And if you select both, then that means it will search for the files or subdirectories which are matching with this pattern. So that means there are files we have, so it will process now. It is better to select both if you have files and subdirectories. And if you want to consider both together, then select both option. So three files will be considered now. And if I provide the pattern as CUST, there is only one file. Okay. If you see here, there is only one file with cust underscore. So one file has to be processed now. Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can mention in comment section. I hope this is clear. But if you have any questions, you can mention. I will reply to that. Thank you.